Good evening. Thank you for tuning in to our Algebraic Expressions Review Study Guide. All right, please remember, guys, this was number 8. If you never numbered this number 8 in class, make sure that's number 8 in your study guide. Sorry for my TV voice there for a second. All right, remember I told you we did copy these definitions down. If you didn't finish, now's a good time to pause the video. Make sure you have these definitions because they are directly off the test. Again, I'm going to repeat that. These definitions are exactly the exact same wording on the test. The only difference is on the test you'll be writing in the word, whereas here we wrote in that definition, but that's what the test will say. All right, we're going to move on down here though and start evaluating. Please remember, guys, evaluate, and it's even up here in our definition. Let's look and see what that said. It said evaluate, to find the value of an algebraic expression by replacing the variables with numbers. Replacing the variables. So we're going to change those letters into numbers. And in the directions, it tells me what numbers to use. So right here where it says 27 plus x, we're going to change that to 27 plus, and instead of x, we're going to write 4. Please remember, I do want to see that work. I'm well aware we can do this in our head, but I can't see that in your head. Write it on the paper so I can see it. 27 plus 4, when I add that together, I get 31. All right, number 10. Number 10 was kind of a doozy today. A lot of people have had questions. I have 10 divided by, that says zx. So z was 5 and x was 4. Remember, guys, I can't just write that next to each other because it looks like 54. So I'm going to put 5 and 4 in parentheses. Now I know they're next to each other, which means multiplication. All right, please remember my order of operations. Please excuse my dear goes from left to right, and Aunt Sally goes from left to right. So guys, that means my multiplication and division, I'm going to do the one that comes first in the problem. In this problem, division appears first. So I've got to do 10 divided by 5, which is 2. A lot of people have messed this up and tried to do the 5 times 4. All right, make sure we do 10 divided by 5 is 2. I still have that 4 in parentheses next to it. So now it just says 2 times 4, and I can work that out to get 8. Make sure you have 8 as your answer for number 10. All right, number 11 says y to the second power. So I'm going to change that. Instead of y, I'm going to make that 2 to the second power plus z, which is 5. Order of operations, I don't have parentheses, so I'm going to do my exponent first. Remember, 2 to the second power means I'm multiplying that big number 2. I'm going to multiply it times itself twice. So 2 times 2 is 4, and then we have plus 5 still. Now I can do that addition. 4 plus 5 gives me 9. All right, number 12. Number 12 says x divided by y times 3. So x, we have 4 divided by 2 times 3. All right, order of operations, multiplication and division. I do it in order from left to right, whatever comes first. So again, here I can see that division. 4 divided by 2 is 2 times 3, and then 2 times 3 gives me 6. Guys, most people today have worked this one out correctly. Number 10, what throws us off here is when they're next to each other, we want to go ahead and put them together by multiplying. You still have to follow that order of operations, so please be careful about that. We divide it here first, and then we multiply. Okay. All right, number 13, guys, I've seen this worked a couple of different ways. If you get the correct answer and you worked it a different way, that is okay. The first thing I'm doing, since it says to evaluate, I'm going to go ahead and change my z to a 5. So now I have 9 times 5 minus 3 plus 7. Some people have distributed, they passed out the 9 early. That's okay too, as long as we keep following those order of operations carefully. All right, now that I have numbers here, though, I'm going to go to my order of operations list. It says parentheses first. So inside my parentheses, it says 5 minus 3. So I have 9 times 2, because that's what 5 minus 3 gives me. And then I have plus 7. All right, order of operations, still following those. That 9 and 2 next to each other mean to multiply. Then I have the plus 7, so that multiplication comes first. So I get 18 plus 7. And now when I add 18 plus 7, that gives me 25 as my answer here. Okay. All right, number 14. Still just plugging those numbers in. It says z, which is 5, minus y, which is 2. Now, guys, you'll notice this x is not looking like that x. And it's not looking like that x. And it doesn't look like that x. Because, guys, this is a time symbol. Now, the fortunate thing is when I'm typing this, I can tell those x's look very differently. But when I write the letters myself, sometimes my x's and my time symbol look the same. So I'm just going to change it to a dot just to make sure I remember, hey, that's multiplication, not the x from up here. Right? Okay, so order of operations. Parentheses, there are none. Exponents, there are none. Multiplication and division. I do have multiplication. So, guys, we've got to start with that. So I get 5 minus 2 times 2, which gives me 4. And now it just says 5 minus 4, which we know is 1. Okay. On your test, when you get to this, I would write down that please excuse my dear Aunt Sally still. It never hurts to have it if I need to look at it. All right, define a variable, write an algebraic expression for each situation. This is something that we have struggled with because this is something brand new that we've never done before. The first part says define a variable. And the reason I've labeled these is so you remember there's 2 parts. Define a variable means pick what it is we're missing because that's going to be our letter. So here it says 3 less than 2 times a number. Guys, does it tell me what the number is? Does it say anywhere in here what number I'm using? So guys, a number. That's going to be my variable. I've seen a lot of people say 2 times a number is their variable. 2 times. That's math. That's telling me some math to do. So my variable, I'm going to use n. And I'm going to say n means a number. N is a number. All right, now we need to write an expression. So what an expression means is here's my math. Here's my sentence. I'm going to change that from words into math. So let's start with our 3 less than. All right, less than. That means math. And in fact, less than means we're going to subtract. So I'm going to go ahead and put a minus sign here. Remember, we talked about that special than word. Okay, so than is important. Than takes everything in the front and moves it to the back. So I'm going to take that 3 and I'm going to put it at the end. All right, now I'm going to finish seeing what it says. Now it says 2 times a number. So if I put the front part at the back, that means whatever's stuck back here is just going to be, I'm going to write it in front. All right, so right here it says 2 times a number. Remember, when we write out our math, 2 times n, remember this is n. 2 times n, to write that, we're just going to put my 2 and my n next to each other. So that's my expression. And remember, n means a number. So those are the 2 parts that I need. All right. Number 16 says 5 hours more than George's time. I don't know how much time George has. So this right here, this is going to be my variable. All right, and I'm going to use a G. Remember, it does need to be lowercase. No capital variables, please. All right, so G is going to be George's time. So there's my variable. Now let's go back and read our problem. Let's find our math. It says 5 hours more than. So more than means we're adding. It does have that special than. What than is going to do is going to take what's at the back and what's at the front and move it to the back. So that 5 is moving to the end. 5 hours more than, I got the 5, I got my plus. George's time is going to move to the beginning. So I got G plus 5. All right, number 17 says 3 times the number of floors in the building. 3 times the number of floors in the building. All right, do I know how many floors are in the building? Guys, this right here, this is going to be my variable. So I'm going to use F for floors in the building. Floors in the building. So now let's write our expression. 3 times that number of floors, so 3 times F. Again, we're just going to write those right next to each other. Just putting that 3 and F right next to each other. All right. make sure that we check those. If we got any of them wrong, please pause the video. Try to fix them on your own, and then make sure we correct them. All right? Moving to the back. So it says, determine whether the two expressions are equivalent. So guys, equivalent, remember that means that they should be equal. All right? So guys, we're going to have a yes or a no. And then if so if it's yes, we're going to tell what property. If not, we have to give an explanation. So we're going to have to write out why it's not true. All right, so on number 18, it says x plus 0 and x. Well, if I add 0 to anything, it's not going to change it, even if it's a letter. So x plus 0 does equal x. This is going to be true. So I'm going to put yes, they are equivalent. And then I'm going to explain the property. All we've got to do is tell the property. All right, this is the identity property. That's the identity property. Guys, I'm fine with this information. Some people have also been including that it's the identity property of addition. So if we wanted to include that, we could. All right, you do not have to, but I love that some of us are including that whole label. All right, so yes, that's the identity property of addition. All right, number 19. Guys, number 19 is a little tricky. None of the ones on your test are meant to trick you, but I will be honest with you, number 19 tricked me when I just kind of was working through this quickly. Because if I just look and I see the parentheses, they went from being at the beginning to being at the end. So it looks like my parentheses moved, which would be associative. But if I look inside the parentheses, did my numbers actually change? Did 2, so here it says 22 and 5, they're associates, they're grouped together. Did my associates, did the group of numbers change? No, guys, those stayed the same. So the numbers inside aren't changing. All right, so my parentheses, the associate property isn't what's happening here, but they are switching places. So guys, the property that lets my numbers move location, which is what's happening here, it's moving location. All right, that's the commutative property. And does the commutative property work for multiplication? Yes, it does. So we can say yes, all right, because my commutative property, commutative, make sure we're spelling that carefully, property works because there's a commutative property of multiplication. All right, again, if you put yes in commutative property, I will absolutely take that. If we include that it's of multiplication because we're multiplying, that's even better. All right, number 20, again, we can see my n was at the beginning. My n has moved to the end of the problem. So my numbers moved places. Does that work for addition? Is there a commutative property of addition? Yes, there is. Remember, the only properties we don't have, the only operations that don't work are if we were doing subtraction, it would be no. If it was division, that would be no. All right, so this is going to be yes because we have a commutative property of addition. All right, last one, number 21, says 25 times 1 and 1. Well, 25 times 1, what should that equal? Should it equal 1? Nope. That is not equivalent. Those are not true. 25 times 1 should not equal 1. It should equal 25. What property tells me this isn't true? All right, that's going to be the identity property. Says 25 times 1 should equal 25, not equal 1. All right. So again, I just want you saying that the identity property is what they were trying to use, but did they use it correctly here, guys? No, the identity property would say that it's 25, not 1. All right. Moving on down. Make sure, guys, we look over those words like identity, commutative, associative. Make sure we know all of those words coming in tomorrow, please. All right, here it says to rewrite and simplify the following expressions using the distributive property. All right, remember, this is how we talked about, like, I pass out papers. I pass them out to everything. So, guys, this 6, it's right next to the parentheses, which means we're multiplying. But I'm going to pass it to every single thing in there. So I'm going to multiply 6 times x, which gives me 6x. But that's not the only thing in parentheses. I also have to pass it to the 8. So I'm going to keep that minus sign in between. And then I'm going to do 6 times 8, which is 48. Make sure we put that with every single thing in there. Multiply it times both. All right, number 5, we're going to distribute. We're going to multiply that 5 times the 4. So 5 times 4 gives me 20, and I'm going to keep the C next to it. I'm going to keep that minus sign. Please remember, did I pass the 5 to everything yet? We've still got to pass the 5 over to 10. Using multiplication here, 5 times 10 gives me 50. Okay. All right, number 24, we're going to pass out the 9. So we're going to do 9 times 4 is 36. Keep my plus sign right there. And then we also have to pass it to the t because that's in parentheses. And 9 times t gives me 9t. Okay. Guys, that's all I could do on these. It did say to simplify, but guys, if I were to simplify, they'd both have to have x here. 6 has an x, is 48? Nope, so we're done. Those are two different things. I have 20c, but then I have minus 50. They don't match. 36 plus 9t. 9 has a t, 36 doesn't. They do not match, so I can't put those together. All right, let's look at the bottom ones, because all we were doing here, guys, was passing it out, distributive property. All right, simplify each algebraic expression. So now I'm just trying to simplify. I want to put everything that matches together. So guys, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of split this up into my pieces. So I have 8d, that's starting me off. So 8d. Then it says plus 4, so that plus 4 is going to be next. Then it says minus d, so that's going to be next. And then it says plus 9. All right, so I've got 4 different pieces that I'm looking at here. Let's start with 8d. Is there any other boxes that have the same letter or letters? So in this case we have D. Are there any other boxes with D? Well, if I look, my first box and my third box have a D. So I'm just going to focus on those right now. This says 8D minus D. And remember, if you need to, you can put a little 1 in front, because how many D's is that? Just 1. So if I have 8D minus 1D, 8D, take away a D, leaves me with 7D. Okay? So now I'm done with those 2 boxes. All right, then it says 4, and I'm just going to ignore the plus sign for right now because I'm starting with that. So is there anything to add it to? I've marked that out. That's gone. So I have just 4 plus 9. 4 plus 9 gives me 13. 4 plus 9 gives me 13. So now my 4 is done and my plus 9 is done. All right, you'll see how I still have that plus sign? Since I haven't done any addition, I'm just going to bring that down and put it in my answer. Okay, so my answer ends up being 7D plus 13, and I took care of that plus sign when I brought it down. All right, 26 has a little bit more going on because we do see there are parentheses here. So I'm going to take that 7. Guys, inside 2x plus y, I can't do anything with that. I've got to take my 7 and distribute just like what we did on those 3 above. So I'm going to pass 7 to 2. When I pass it to 2x, I multiply. 7 times 2 is 14. I'm going to keep my x. I'm going to keep my plus sign. And then I'm going to pass it to y. When I do 7 times y, remember we just write them next to each other and make it 7y. Right? I'm not going to pass it out to the 2x because it's not in parentheses. So once I pass it to everything inside the parentheses, we're done. And now I'm just going to keep writing 2 plus 2x, so I keep the rest of the problem together. All right, now's when I can box them off and then group them up. So I'm going to box off. Here's my first item, which says 14x. Then after that, it says plus 7y. And then it says plus 2x. All right, starting with my first box, 14x. Are there any boxes that have a matching letter with 14x? All right, if I look here, there's an x in the first box, there's an x in the last box. So those are the ones I want to put together. So if I read that, it says 14x plus 2x. Again, that's like if I had apples. 14 apples plus 2 apples would give me 16 apples. So 14 x's plus 2 x's gives me 16 x's. Okay, so I've got all those in there. All right. It says plus 7y. Is there anything else in here that could go with that? No, but it's all by itself. So I'm just going to bring it down and put it in my answer. Guys, we're done. That has an x, that has a y. They're two different things. These do not match. So you are done. You are done. Remember, it doesn't tell me anywhere in here what the x is, what the y is. Guys, we're not finishing it. We're not evaluating it. We're just simplifying. We're making it smaller. Originally, we had 7 times 2x plus y plus 2x. Now it just says 16x plus 7y. This is a lot shorter than what was originally given. This is simplified for sure. All right, let's look at 27. Again, I can see there are parentheses, so I'm going to want to pass out that number in front of them. All right, so starting, I'm sorry, I kind of jumped ahead. So starting off, there's an S here. If there are parentheses, do not try combining until you've written out your new problem, okay? There's an S here. It's not next to the parentheses, so I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to bring down my plus sign. Now I'm going to multiply my 6 times S. 6 times S, we're just going to put them next to each other. Okay, and sorry, that's a really ugly S, but that's an S. All right, then we're going to do plus, bring down the plus sign. And I've also got to pass it to the 3. Don't forget to pass 6 to every single thing. 6 times 3 is going to give me 18. All right, let's box them off. So I have an S to start with, plus 6S, and then plus 18. So when I look at this to start, it has an S. Remember, if you want, you can put the 1 in front. Should I see a 1 in an answer? Like, which one's simpler? The S as I had it or 1S? Just S. So make sure if it was in my answer, I just want S. But for my math, I can do the 1 plus 6. It's easier to see that way. 1 plus 6 gives me 7 because those both have an S. So 1S plus 6S, 7S. So those are done. And then it says plus 18. 18 is all by itself. So I can't mix it up with my S's. So that's going to be my answer. All right. So guys, I hope that going through this study guide, I hope that it was relatively easy. Again, your test is laid out exactly like this. If you missed any, or if you're just really having trouble with any of these, please come see me in the morning. I'll be in my classroom at 7 o'clock. Good luck tomorrow. Please remember this is a quiz grade, so if you did miss any, please make sure you go back and correct them because we want perfect grades on this tomorrow, all right? Hope you'll have a good night. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for checking your work. You are awesome.